and squint, you know.
You think I have binocular eyes?
Okay, let's get comfortable. So, sit however you want. If you want to sit in your chair, if you want to sit on the floor, if you just want to get easy in your hips, however that is for you. And also, if you're on the floor and you feel better to leave your legs long, do it. Grab blankets if you want. At home, this is what day? Thursday, the 29th of July. And we're here for gentle. So, get easy. Let yourself close your eyes gently. And just for a second, let your gaze come down just a little bit, so that even though your eyes are closed, you're looking down, but not your head, just your eyes. And then use your eyes to look to the right a little bit. Go up and over the top and look to the left a little bit. And then let yourself, again, release your eyes like you're looking down. Just lengthen up through the top of your head. Let your eyes get naturally where they want to go, right? So you're not really focusing anymore on your eyeballs. Just let yourself focus on your breath. Feeling the breath coming in and going out through your nose. Imagining you're breathing equally through both sides, even if you're, we've been talking about allergies and being all stuffy. And see if you can just imagine you're breathing equally through both sides. Feel the breath coming into your belly, feeling the belly rise and expand as you inhale. On your next exhale, bring your hands gently to meet right there in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And then lift your elbows up so you feel your hands pressing a little more firmly together there, right? You're just feeling the wrists, the hands. Feel the fingers too, like if you can individually press each finger towards its partner there, so you really feel your fingers as well. And then let your elbows release on back down, and let's unfold our arms on down beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And I'm going to mirror you today. So let your right ear come towards your right shoulder a little bit. And if you can, let your left arm kind of drape all the way across your chest. Put your hand on the top of your left shoulder there, so that so I'm mirroring you. Your right hand coming over and resting on the top of your shoulder. And just, so that weight, just that little bit of weight as you tilt your head away from your hand, might help you find a little more release there in your shoulder and in your neck. And then we'll release to come back up with the head. Let your arm come down and let your left ear go towards your left shoulder. And let your left hand come over. And again, kind of where you hold. I like to go right into the muscle right here with my fingers so I can kind of squeeze a little bit and feel a nice release there in the top of the shoulder. Let the neck release a bit there. And then rise the head back up, release your arms on down. Take a nice inhale. And as we exhale, let's twist to our right. Let yourself come on around into that twist. Lengthening up through the top of your head. Feel like you're waking up your spine, really. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and go into the other direction. So again, just let yourself feel that twist there in the middle of the back. It's easy. Good, and then we'll release to come on back into center. And let's stretch both our arms and our legs out, whether we're in a chair or on the floor. Your hands are forward of your shoulders. Flex both your feet and your hands. And then let your feet point and see if you can let your fingertips face down towards the ground. So you flex your hands and your feet at the same time, drawing yourself back with your toes and your fingers. And then the fingers come all the way down and the feet point. And then one more time, let yourself just flex through. And then fingertips come down and point the feet. And we're going to come on back with our feet. Now, if you were cross-legged, switch across your legs. Bring your other one in front so you even out your hips there. Usually it's just the one that doesn't feel natural, right? So if you forgot which leg you're on. And we'll let our arms come out beside us again. Take a nice inhale. And as we exhale, let's twist to our left this time. So coming into the twist here and lengthening up again. Feel your feet in the floor. So if you have the bottoms of your feet on the floor in your chair, press down into the feet. And if you have the outside edges of your feet, press into those on the floor. And if your heels are on the ground because your legs are long on the floor, just feel the heels drawing down. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to release back around and go all the way to the other side. Still feel your feet. Still feel that gentle pressing down a little into your feet. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come on back around into center. Now let's come a little bit forward. Those of you in your chair, you're welcome to separate your feet out. You can have your elbows above your knees if you're in your chair, or go farther. On the floor, as you come forward from your low back, you can put your hands there on the floor in front of you. You can walk further out. Feel free just to let yourself release where you're able to. If you can let your head hang, do. Obviously, if that really bothers you to let your head hang down, then just keep your head more in line with your spine. And just breathe. Let yourself enjoy coming into that forward bend, feeling the ribs expand as you inhale. Good. One more breath. We're going to slowly make our way up, so take your time as you come on back up, and release your arms back on down beside you here, out beside you. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead, and let our exhale bring our hands right down to be in front of our chest. Lengthen up through the crown of your head, seated mountain here. Really feel your sitting bones into the surface you're sitting on there. Feel your belly gently engaging. And then we'll release, bring our arms down beside you, shake out a little bit. We're going to come around towards hands and knees, or cat-cow, however you want to be. So if you want to be up on your chair, you can have your hands on your seat of your chair. You know, another way to do cat-cow, and I thought of it yesterday, I hadn't in a long time, is to put your hands above your knees on your thighs, turn your fingertips inward. So if you don't want to go on your knees, and you really would rather let yourself try a little bit different than putting your hands on a chair, you can move through this way, where you let your elbows be bent and you let yourself still move through your cat-cow, so the tailbone drops down, you can round up into your back, and then you can release back through. So take your time, you find what works for you, and let yourself just ease your way into a little more waking up of your spine here. Feel the tailbone initiating. Let yourself feel that easy flow through the back, really. And appreciate, that our backs are built the way they are so we can even do this. We'll finish off the one we're on. Come back to more neutral spine. And we're going to bring our left foot forward, our right foot back to find a lunge here. So now, really getting into coming into our legs and our hips, but not just the legs and the hips in a lunge, right? You really want to feel your whole body, the length of your torso. It doesn't matter if you're in a shorter or a longer lunge. Just make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. Take your time. Let yourself really feel the feet in the floor. Zip up the low belly. And we are going to switch legs from here. So coming to the other side, however you like to go to the other side. Remember, you want your feet kind of like you're on those narrow railroad tracks, because that gives you a nicer feeling in your hips. You don't want to line your feet up. And just enjoy. Draw your shoulders down. Feel the belly engaging. Good. And we're going to switch again. And this time it's up to you. You can stay with both hands down. If you want to get up a little out of your hands, you can go to your fingertips or your fists maybe. That brings you a little more. Or you can bring your hand, your left hand there up to your thigh, or both hands up if you want, right? You can experiment. Just be mindful. Good. And we're going to switch again. So again, feeling those feet in the floor, being mindful of that bend of that front knee, and then if you decide you want to think of lifting a hand up or coming up higher on your hands a little bit, kind of press the feet a little away from each other. Good. And we're going to step forward from here and come on into our standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And be really mindful of how your back feels. Every day is a new day, right? So take your time. If you feel better to give yourself support, do it. Elbows above your knees is a good way to keep your low back lengthened instead of rounded. Or letting your hands be on blocks or the chair, or forearms on the chair too. So let yourself release into your breath. Enjoy feeling those full deep breaths coming in and going out through your nose. Again, bring your awareness to imagining you're breathing equally in and out through both sides of your nose as well. And then we'll let our knees bend and bring our hands to our hips. We're going to come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And now let's tilt again. Release your arms down. Tilt your right ear towards your right shoulder again, like we did before. But then bring your right hand up to the, like outside of your face or your head there. And gently press your head into that hand, right? So you're engaging the side of your neck here. And just press gently. Feel as much release as you can there through that left side of your neck. And then rise the heavy head on back up, and we'll go to the other side. So again, let your hand come to where it kind of feels good for you, and just gently feel your head pressing into your hand. You're resisting, right? The hand stays there, the head just gently presses. And then bringing the head on back up. Let's release and fold our hands behind us, clasp our hands back here. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, bend your knees and come on forward. Stay not even parallel to the floor, right? You stay up higher if you can. And feel what your pelvis is doing. Make sure, if you're up like about halfway towards being parallel to the floor, make sure you're not tucking your tailbone up under you. Do it for a second, see how it feels. And then send your tailbone back, right? And then try to get about parallel to the floor if you can. Knees are bent. See if you can feel really flat in your back. And then we'll release our arms on down. And we're going to step our right foot back to come into lunge here. So you put your hands where you like, coming on into your lunge. And we'll make our way into a downward facing dog pose here. So you know, as you come into a down dog, whether you use your hands on the chair or the blocks or the floor, remember the blocks can be tippy. So really be careful, especially if you're at the highest height of the blocks. Let yourself reach back through your sitting bones equally so you feel equal through the sides of your body. And your elbows are hugging gently towards each other. And on the next inhale, we'll come out like we're going to do a push-up. Now, you know you don't have to go all the way. You can put your knees down, do a half. You can, if you want, do little push-ups. If you like to bend your elbows a little bit, you can bend all the way and go all the way to a full push-up if you want. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Elbows hug in. Reach back again equally through your sitting bones. And we will bring our right foot forward from here to find our lunge. So if you need to, if you're on the floor, put your left knee down to get that foot there, do. And then we'll step back into standing forward bend. So, you know, be mindful, whatever supports you like. I know some of you really like to just fully hang and hold your own elbows. So if that feels good, you can. Think about really trying to release through your face. And if you need to kind of wiggle your mouth around, or even yawning sometimes helps to release the face and the jaw. And just breathe, easy breaths, finding those little spaces between your breaths, letting yourself enjoy. Feeling a little space at the end of your inhale before you exhale. And the same thing at the end of your exhale, a little space before you inhale. And we will from here bring our hands right to our hips and rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down as we lengthen upward through the crown of our head. Let's reverse to inhale our hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold on into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that flat back. So again, you can put your hands on your legs, on your chair, on your blocks. And we will step the left foot back from here to come into lunge. So draw your shoulders down. Really feel your whole body here in your lunge. Think about your spine. Think about feeling the back of your head as a part of your spine. And we'll come on into downward facing dog pose. So again, as you come into down dog, be mindful wherever your hands are. Take your time. Walk a little bit if that feels good to you, to bend a knee at a time too. So that you come a little more into the back of one leg at a time. You can turn your head a little side to side too if that helps you. Release your neck a bit. And then come on back to your full dog. Next inhale, we'll come out again towards that plank. Again, it is optional whether you do a half plank or a forearm plank, or perhaps you want to just stay in that full plank, finding your core strength. Or of course, if you like little push-ups, you can bend your elbows. It doesn't take much. If you bend your elbows and kind of imagine you're holding a beach ball between your elbows and you want to hold it there, a lot of work in the arms and the shoulders. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. And then from here, we'll bring our left foot forward. And if you need to, put a knee or both knees down to get there, do. And we'll step all the way back again into standing forward bend. And just release. Nice, easy breaths. Full, deep, pretty even if you can, breaths. So you think about your inhales and exhales being fairly even in length. It doesn't have to be exact, but it's kind of like you're trying not to highly favor either your inhale or your exhale over the other, right? One more nice, full deep breath. And then let your hands come to your hips. We're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and come on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. And let's release our arms down beside us. Clasp your hands behind you. Let yourself open across your chest here. And you know, you have your hands right there, right at your buttocks, right? So just make sure, kind of play a little bit. Make sure you're not tucking forward. Do it for a second and see how it feels with your tailbone tucking under you. And then, like, let your belly come way forward. Send your hips back a little bit. You don't want that either, right? You don't want an exaggerated curve in your back. And then just release so the tailbone drops down towards between your heels. Feel that alignment there. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward. Now, you may want to stay up fairly high. You don't have to go more than parallel to the floor. You can fold all the way over your legs if you choose. Some of you may want to release your arms off your back. That depends on you and your shoulders. One more breath wherever you are. And then release your hands and let yourself inhale into that nice long back again. And this time we're going to walk into a down dog. So you place your hands the height you like and walk your way back into that downward facing dog pose so you feel really a lot of space in your spine. And on the next inhale, we'll come out again towards that plank or whichever version you want to do. Now you can do a back bend here. You can go all the way down to the floor and come onto your forearms for a sphinx. You can come through for a cobra or an up dog. And then you can make your way back again into downward facing dog pose. So be mindful, bend both your knees for a second, feel those elbows hugging in towards each other. And then let your next inhale bring you out again towards that plank. And again, totally optional, whether you come into plank or whether you come through for a back bend, what version you do of any of those is up to you. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Nice. And this time, let's bring our right foot forward to find our lunge. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Let yourself enjoy having gotten your whole body warmed up now. And we'll step forward into our standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And again, just be mindful where you like to come in your standing forward bend so that you feel really easy to be there. There's no stress. Watch your breaths all the way in and all the way out. Good. And then from here, we'll bring our hands back to our hips, bend our knees. We're going to come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down to be in front of our chest, in front of our hearts. So take your time. Enjoy being there for a breath in your mountain pose. Feel, there is a little bit more lightness in your head, I would imagine, and you feel a sensation of kind of like woken up the whole body, really. Also, your skin feels more alive. I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like the surface of your skin almost feels more alive, right? And then we'll let our arms come on down and shake everything out. Walk around if you need to. Move through your feet and your ankles. If you're using your chair, let's turn them around. Well, it's good to know that it's not thunder we're hearing out there. It's construction. We don't usually hear it much in here. So we're going to bring our right foot back and come into Warrior 2 first. So look at your left foot for a second and let yourself at first have both your legs straight. Right? So both your legs are straight and your heels are pretty much in a line, pretty much. And then bend that left knee. Still look at it, make sure it's not going out beyond your toes. You can still see your toes, right? And then let your hands come to your heart. Bring yourself into looking you're looking almost a little bit towards the right front corner of your mat. So you're not drawing your shoulder back right now. You've got your shoulders sort of lined up with your hips. So you see the direction your hips face in Warrior 2. It's not really to the side. There's actually a little twist involved in Warrior 2. So if you, from here, inhale your hands right up through the midline, and then open the arms, and you start to reach back through the right hand, and you turn to look over your left hand there. See that little twist that happens? So your shoulders, if you stayed not twisted, would be kind of this way. But when you reach right back behind yourself, there's that little twist. Kind of interesting. One more breath. And then bring your right hand on down. We're going to straighten our left knee out. And we're going to bring our left hand down for a triangle pose. Now your hand can be way high. It can be on your back of your chair or your thigh. You may decide, well, I feel pretty good to lean forward more, put my hand down on the seat of my chair or use a block or lower on your leg. As your right shoulder comes up, you decide if adding that right arm up sounds like a good idea or not. Not necessary to do that. If it feels good, you can add it. Feel your thighs lifting upwards towards your hips, so you're really engaging your legs there. Good. We're going to bend the left knee again and come back to Warrior 2. So you really, if you press your feet away from each other, it gets you right back into your Warrior 2 pose there. And then let your hands come down. We're going to turn to face the long edge of our mat, get our feet more parallel for a wide-legged forward bend. Grab your blocks if you want them. And then take your time, bend both your knees and start to just release, straightening one knee at a time or bending one knee at a time, whichever one you want to focus on. But let yourself just ease your way a little bit unless it bothers your knees from side to side. Good. And then come on back into center here. let both your knees bend a little bit and see if you can bring your elbows above your knees so you're really supporting yourself there. If your hands can come together, you can touch the tips of your fingers and your thumbs together, kind of almost like you're making a little tent there. Lengthen back through your tailbone. It is a version of a squat. Nice long spine. Good. And then we're going to release. You can bring your hands back to the block or back to the floor and set yourself up to stay here with your breath. So if you know you're better off to get up higher, get out of your hands a little bit, then you can stack your blocks up. You can have your forearms on the blocks. You're more than welcome, you know that, to bring your hands down to the floor if that feels fine for you. If possible, let your head hang. And if that doesn't work for you, then think about keeping your head more in line with your spine. Whatever helps you feel the least tension, right? And then just enjoy your breath again now. Full and deep, but feeling your ribs expand as you inhale. And feel how they just release back to normal almost when you exhale. Good. One more breath. And be really mindful when you get ready to rise up here. If you need to get your feet a little closer, if you need to use your hands on your thighs to help you up, just be easy as you come up and walk around however you need to. You know, move through your feet and your ankles. We are going to go the other side. So we will step our left foot back. So at first, get your heels kind of in that line. And straighten that front knee out for a second. Let yourself feel your feet equal in the floor there with both legs straight. And then bending that right knee, you can check it out. You can look down and see. Make sure it's not going out beyond your toes. If it does, you might want to lengthen between your feet a little more. You can kind of switch to get a little bit farther forward with that foot if you'd like. And then bring your hands to your heart. And again, let your left shoulder kind of come forward so your hip pointer bones are kind of facing that diagonal sort of line, and so are your shoulders. And then when you inhale, the hands up through the midline, and once you open them, you feel how your left hand reaches back, your right hand reaches forward, but you have that little bit now of a twist. And feel your feet in the floor. Enjoy. Imagine you're trying to make your mat a little longer with your feet, so you engaged all the way up into your hips. Good. Warrior two. Left hand to the left hip. We're going to straighten the right leg out. We're going to bring our right hand down. So as you do, feel your thighs again, lifting up towards your hips. You don't have to go low. You're thinking about elongating both sides of your body here. Left hand can stay on your hip. If you can roll the left shoulder up, do. Sometimes even that's too much and you have to kind of look down like this. That's fine. Whatever works, right? Arm up if you choose to. Thighs lifting upward. Feeling that length all the way out through the top of your head. Good. We're going to bend the right knee. We're going to come back to warrior two. Remember, if you think of pressing your feet a little away from each other, it helps get you right back into that strength of your warrior two. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet again where they're pretty parallel. And come on forward for your wide-legged forward bend. And again, if you like your blocks, use your blocks or use your hands on the floor. And once you get there, if you're like, I'd like to change how far apart my feet are, feel free to do that. If you're like, maybe I can go a little bit wider, or maybe I want to go less wide, because I always go really wide, right? Change it up a little if you can. And then let's walk our hands over towards our left foot. And you know, you can use your blocks and walk. You can walk all the way over to the foot if you want to. Let yourself take a breath or two there. And then once you walk back through center, whether it's on your blocks or on the floor, come on as far as you want to go towards that right foot. And once you get as far as you want, stay there. Try to let go of your face and your jaw. Try not to tense up in your neck either, right? And then we'll come on back into center again. And if you need to bend your knees a little bit, kind of play around a little bit to set yourself up here for your pose, go right ahead and do that, whatever feels good. And you know, if you're comfortable, to bring your hands kind of between your feet on the floor there and let yourself hang from there. You're more than welcome to do that. That is not for everybody's back. If you know your back needs to stay long, you do that however you need to do it. Whether you have your elbows above your knees or you use blocks underneath, in front of you, underneath your hands or forearms. Remember, knees can be bent in this pose. Knees can be straighter. Just enjoy. Let yourself really release into the pose, watching your breath. For a second, actually, imagine if you could only breathe through your side ribs, kind of like gills on a fish, right? So see if you can imagine you're kind of expanding your ribs that way, side to side. It's a different feeling than thinking of expanding the ribs in all directions. Nice. And we are going to think about rising up. So take your time. You know, if you need to adjust your feet before you come up, do. Rise up. If you're dizzy, you need to hold on to something, do. Or if you need to keep your feet wide for a second, do. And move through your feet a little bit. Take your time. And now we're going to turn our chair back to the seat facing us. And those of you who don't have a chair, get your blocks. And let's turn the blocks to the highest height. Okay? And we're going to step our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into a lunge at first. So finding your lunge, whether your hands are up on the seat of the chair or the blocks, there's really not that much difference if you want to know the truth. So just take your time. And then from here, we're going to add a twist. We'll bring our left hand to our left hip and roll that left shoulder up. And keep your hand either flat there on your low back, or you can stretch the arm up if you like to do that. If your shoulder says, yes, I need to do that, do it. If not, keep your hand down. And then go ahead and release your hand back down. We're going to come into pyramid right from here. We're going to lower that right foot all the way to the floor, straighten the front knee out. So now both legs are straight. The back foot is turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees, and the heel is fully on the floor in your pyramid pose. So think about why it might be called pyramid pose, because you really just kind of think about the pyramids and all the artwork and how that kind of side view, right? Kind of interesting. Whoever named this pyramid. So again, feel your thighs engaging upward. If you like to fold a little bit over that front leg, you're more than welcome to. You can bend your elbows or use your chair there to go a little bit lower if you want to. That's totally optional. And then come on back up to a long back and add that left hand up to your left hip like we did in the lunge. And go ahead and do the same thing. Roll your shoulder up a little bit. This is a Revolve triangle pose. It's actually, I think, one of the hardest poses there is. So it really gets into the backs of the legs and the IT band of that front leg. But also, I'm sure you're feeling it pretty good in your back half. And if you want to stretch your left arm up in this one, you can too. Or keep your hand down. And then go ahead and bring your left hand back down. Bend your front knee right away. Step your right foot forward. And right away, step your left foot back into a lunge. It'll be feeling pretty good by now. And once you're in your lunge, we're going to add that twist. So you'll bring your right hand up to your right hip. We're just going to go to that twist the other way. And take your time. You can keep your hand down. You can stretch your arm up if you choose to. Just be mindful, trying to stay fairly level in your hips. Good. And then bring your right hand back down. And again, we're going to try to find that pyramid. So as you straighten the front leg out, and most of us, if you're in a pretty long lunge, have to shorten to come into pyramid. You have to get your feet a little closer together to keep that back heel down. And your back foot is turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees. So you don't want the heel to go directly behind you, which would be more like in keeping with the art. work of the Egyptians, but feel the thighs engaging up. Let yourself enjoy. If you like to fold a little bit forward over your leg, go for it. If not, stay up so that you're really more parallel to the floor, and let your legs get what they need in this pose. Remember, you are actively lifting your thighs upward, which engages all the muscles around your knees. So if you're folded a little bit forward, come on back more parallel to the floor. We're going to bring our right hand again to our right hip and roll that shoulder up. Feeling again, both legs are still straight. Thighs are still engaging upward a little bit. And again, you can add that top arm straight up if you want in your revolve triangle, or you can keep that right hand right down on your low back. And we're going to bring our hand on back down. And we're going to step forward again. Come on into your standing forward. Actually, separate your feet wider on your mat so they're almost onto the floor. Right? They're so wide, they're still parallel. And then shift your hips back and let yourself release either elbows to the above the knees here, or maybe you want to go ahead and fold and hang, right? Your legs are pretty wide, but not as wide as a wide angle. And just release the hips a little bit there. Bend the knees pretty deeply maybe. Let your hips release there. Hold on to your ankles if you want. Good. And then we're going to come on back to bring our feet underneath our hips. Get yourself parallel with your feet as best you can. And then bend the knees and rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's give ourselves a hug. Bring your right arm on top of your left here. Give yourself a hug. Let the elbows melt down. And you know, you can hold low towards your armpit level then maybe. Or if you feel good to go over like your shoulders, do it. And then sit back a little bit into a little, like your chair, going into chair pose. So instead of the pelvis coming up under you, it reaches back. Your tailbone reaches back on a diagonal line. You can go ahead and release into more of a eagle arm wrap if you want. You don't need to. You can stay hugging. Feel the feet in the floor. Now press into your feet. Rise on up. Let your arms release right on down beside you. And we're going to bring them up and bring our left arm on top of our right. Let your elbows melt down again. And we're going to bend the knees again. So if you can let yourself feel your elbows hang a little bit here. Bring the gaze kind of out in front of you, maybe 6 feet or so. And then, of course, you can add the arms. You can send the backs of the hands towards each other a little bit. You can do your full wrap if you want to, or a half wrap. Nice. And then press into the feet. Rise on up. Release your arms on down beside you. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our chests, in front of our hearts. Enjoy a breath here in your mountain pose. Take your time, feel your feet in the floor. If you're kind of swaying around a little bit like I am, it's fine, you know. Sometimes it's really kind of fun to sway, so if you feel like you want to add a little bit of more of a sway, do. Until it becomes easy to be centered and balanced between your feet. Good. And then let's let our arms come on down, shake out, move around through your feet and your ankles. And with this small of a group today, let's do our mats into the wall. So let's turn to get the short edge of your mat somewhere into a wall. So you two, yeah, you can be there. Margaret can be there. I think you'll be okay there. Margaret can actually, as she turns hers, she can be pretty close to the wall that's right, the short wall, Margaret. That way Joe won't be too close to you. Yeah. Yeah, don't whack her, please.
No, I don't want to whack her. She might whack me back. I wouldn't like that.
Recovery would not be easy.
No.
So from here, let's do a little left hand to the wall, do a little tree pose. So, you know, you are more than welcome, putting your left hand to the wall here, to let yourself, as you come onto that left foot, bring your heel to your inside of your ankle. And if you're like, I like to do that just to bring my hands to my heart, and feel like, oh, I can lift up through this supporting leg and feel really good. And then maybe, it might feel good to bring your foot up to your inside of your calf. Some of you might want to reach your right hand down and bring your foot up above your knee. Remember, you don't want to press your foot into the inside of your knee, right? So let the foot come to where you're okay in your hip. And then just release. And if you need, put your hand back on the wall. Sometimes I think it's fun to put my hand on the wall and close my eyes in tree pose. I don't ever try balancing with my eyes closed, but you can do that and just feel what's happening in your body if your eyes are closed with your hand on the wall. And maybe you decide, well, I want to balance a little bit. I want to bring my arms up, or I want to keep my hands to my heart, or good. And then come on down, turn to face the wall, and step your right foot towards the wall. If you can curl your toes up the wall, do. But keep the ball of your foot on the floor. And then that left foot is in a really little mini lunge, but the left heel is all the way on the floor. And then when you bend your right knee towards the wall, you can even touch the wall with your knee if you want. You can let yourself adjust that back foot, but you want to keep the heel reaching directly behind your foot and on the floor. And that's what's going to give you a really deep calf stretch. And you can, put your head on the wall. You can let your head rest on the wall and look down. Put your arms to a comfortable place. Or you can make a pillow with your hands and put your forehead on your hands there on the wall if you want. Engage your belly. Imagine you're drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other and you're reaching your left sitting bone down towards your heel. One more breath. Good, and then let yourself release back. We're going to turn right hand towards the wall, and we're going to find that tree pose on this side. So as you stand on the right foot, you can bring your left heel to your inner ankle. If you want to, have your hands to your heart there for a little bit before you think about bringing your foot up higher, you might want to, or you might want to keep the foot on the floor with the heel to the inner ankle the whole time. That is a tree pose. You don't have to have that left foot all the way up off the floor to be in a tree. So take your time. You can play with your arms being up overhead. Hips are squared off to the wall you're facing. Good. Beautiful. One more breath. And then once you bring that foot down and you turn to face the wall, this time left foot comes to the wall. Again, if you can curl your toes up. One of my feet won't do that, but if you can do that, do. Let the ball of the foot be on the floor. And then remember, that right foot is all the way down, heel down to the ground and facing back. Don't turn it inward like we do for Warrior One. Let it be like a regular lunge. And then once you bend that left knee, you can touch the wall with it if you want. And if you're not getting enough, simply step that right foot further back and you'll find it. So for me, I can't go very far up, really tight in the calves. So this is a great stretch for the back of the leg, but particularly for your calf. And just the zipping up the belly, reaching the sitting bone down towards the heel at the same time. Do you feel what that does? I mean, it's huge. It doesn't look like anything, but it certainly feels like it. One more breath. Good. And then from here, let yourself step back from the wall into a forearm plank with your elbows right forward of your shoulders. Clasp your hands, send your pinky fingers out so that you have that flat outside edge of your hands into the wall. And then from here, lift both your heels up and then start to walk a little bit. You bend your left knee, your right heel comes down, and then you switch. But let it be like a walk, not a run. Okay, so really slowly letting yourself feel your belly stay engaged as you do this. As you move through here. Good. And then come back to bringing the heels back down. And now when you inhale, rise both heels up. And when you exhale, let them come down. Feel your belly working. So inhale, rising the heels up. Exhale, lowering them down. Keep pressing into your forearms. Inhale, rising heels up. Exhale, lowering them down. Now some of you might want to shift your hips back from here and bring a little bit different angle into your shoulders, right? You can bend your knees. Some of you might even want to slide your forearms more down the wall and come more into like an L shape with your body. But, you know, that's intense in the shoulders. Don't do it if it bothers your shoulders. Stay right where we were towards that forearm plank. If that bothers you to change the angle, don't do it. Good. One more breath. And then let yourself walk in towards the wall. We're going to turn around with our backs to the wall for a second. Walk our feet out. And come into like a chair, right? So your feet are hips distance apart and parallel. Your knees are going to bend, not out beyond your toes. And if you want to go farther, you got to bring your feet out farther and then go down lower. So, I mean, you can get as much as parallel with your thighs to the floor if you're really feeling up to working your legs that hard. Bring your arms out beside you. Turn your palms forward so the backs of your hands are towards the wall. And they're out a little ways away from you. So it feels pretty good. It's almost like you feel your shoulder blades. Kind of feel how when you turn your palms forward, you have these tips of your shoulder blades and they come around the sides of the body. When you press, you turn the palms forward like this and press into the wall, you can really feel it. So just enjoy feeling your shoulder blades, feeling that release back into the wall there, your quads. Your quads might be saying, okay, I've had enough. So bring yourself forward. And let your hands either rest above your knees, or some of you might want to go elbows above your knees. We're going to add a little twist. So you can do one of two things. You can bring your left arm across to the outside of your right knee a little bit with it straight. Put your right hand on your hip, and there's a twist right there. Or you can go lower. You can bring your left elbow to your right knee and bring your hands into prayer hands if you want. But both knees need to be bent equally. So you need to kind of check that out. You don't want to be cockeyed in your hips. Your knees don't want to be unequally bent. Good. One more breath. And then come on back to center. Rest with your elbows above your knees or your hands above your knees. And then we're going to twist the other way. So again, you can bring the right arm kind of across towards the outside of that left knee, and your left hand can go to your left hip. Or you can go lower, put your elbow above your knee, bring your hands into prayer. And just press into your sit bones in the wall there. Feel your feet and your knees equal. Good, good, good. Nice. And then come on back into center again. Now this is optional. If you like to bring your legs a little straighter, you can kind of come forward more over your legs if that feels like a relief. If it doesn't, don't do it. Keep your knees bent and stay there. I mean, some people like to just go ahead and fold like you're doing a standing forward bend, but with your hips way back like this, very different feeling, right? Now you've got your hips. You couldn't do this standing because you'd fall over. So the wall supporting you enables you to just feel very differently here. Good. Now to rise up, use your hands to help you if you need on your thighs. Walk your feet back towards the wall. Good. Let's turn left shoulder towards the wall just because this will feel really good. And tilt your head so that your head, left side of your head is released into the wall. Should feel really nice. And bring your right arm up, and you can bring, if you want, the fingertips to touch the wall above your head. Now you can bend your elbow as much as you want. And if your shoulder says, no way I'm doing that, you know, keep your hand down on your hip. You can still get a side stretch just by letting your head release into the wall. One more breath there. And then come all the way back up. Lower your right arm down and lift your left inside arm up the wall. And from here, bend your left elbow. Now, some of you might need to step away from the wall, or you might need to bring your elbow forward some. You know, this is all up to shoulders. If you can bring the arm to where the elbow reaches up towards the ceiling, you know, that's great. But if not, don't force it. And you can do right hand hanging down there or hand on your hip, or you can put the right hand behind you, facing your palm outward, away from you, real low there on your back. Or some of you might want to think about, well, I want to think of that pose where I bring my hands towards each other on my back here. Totally up to you. Don't force it. Imagine you're breathing through your heart right now, so that instead of hunching forward in your shoulders, you're looking straight out and you have the natural curves in your back here. Good. One more breath. We're going to step sideways away from the wall, lower that arm down, and we're going to turn on around. And get really close at first to the wall, and then tilt your head towards the wall. So you're just gently feeling that right side of your head release into the wall. And then again, you can add that arm. You can bring that left arm up, and you can keep your hand on your hip, you know that. Let yourself breathe into your left side a little bit here. Enjoy all the space here on that left side, the spaces between the ribs. You don't have to involve the arm to do that. Good. We're going to rise back up. Lower the arm, that outside arm. The inside arm goes up, so the right arm's up the wall. Again, you step away if you need. Bend the elbow. Adjust however you need to. Left hand can either be on your hip or hanging down or behind you, facing your palm outward. Or maybe you feel like, I like to bring my hands towards each other because it feels good. You know, it does not feel good to everybody. Obviously, this has to do with how your shoulders are built. So take your time, keep your gaze forward again so you really get that sense of the back aligning itself. You did this every day, even holding a towel back behind you. You could really start to find movement in your shoulders, which helps everything about your spine. And then we'll come on back down, release our arms on down beside us, and come on away from the wall. Swing your arms a little bit forward and back. So really swing them. So one time they go back straight, and one time they go back elbows bent. And you can let your knees become involved if you want. Let yourself just release there. Feel that weight of the arms helping you relax all the way up into your shoulders. Good. And from here, we're going to sit down, but let's sit right back with our backs to the wall. And before you go down, have two things handy. Both blocks and your strap. All right? And then once, so that you can reach over and get either one of them when we get ready to use them. So you might want the blocks first because we're going to sit with our soles of our feet towards each other. Now, for Badakanasana, that means bound angle pose. You can see why it's called bound angle, right? You can have your feet way far away from you, and you can use blocks. See if you can make sure your bottom is all the way into the wall here, right? And then when you get your shoulders back to the wall, you're going to have all these curves in your back. So you've got your curve up here in your cervical vertebrae. You have your lumbar curve. Everybody's is a different amount, right? There's no right or wrong how you're built. And so from there, if you want support underneath your knees, you can use it, letting your back be towards the wall here. And, you know, the back of the head might or might not touch the wall. Don't force it to. So if your chin lifts up to try to get the back of your head to the wall, don't do that. Lengthen up through the top of your head. And then just be easy. If your legs are hanging, you're more comfortable that way, that's fine. Just let yourself find a place to rest your hands, whether it's on your knees or beside you, right? So you can be comfortable. And just close your eyes and breathe. Let yourself imagine those inner thighs, just from sitting in this pose, just gradually releasing deeper and deeper, right? And your hips. And you might be happy to stay right here. That's fine. You can stay right here. If some of you want to come forward, you want to imagine that you almost like peel your whole back away from the wall as one piece and come forward. So that keeps you from coming forward like this that we talk about all the time in forward bends. So it's like the angle of your pelvis changes. Your sit bones start to reach back on a diagonal line. And if that doesn't happen for you, don't force it. Just let yourself stay upright and let your hips and your inner thighs release there. Good. One more breath. And when you're ready to come up gradually. Let yourself go ahead and release your legs forward. Your hands can help you bring your knees up, stretch your legs forward. Sit up tall again. Find your staff pose. This is like being a capital printed letter L, right? So your hips are still into the wall, right? And you're still lengthening up through the top of the head. If you can bring your hands down, palms down towards the floor. This is a great way to experience staff because staff is actually a really hard pose. You can feel your heels on the floor, draw them back towards you. So feel your legs engage there. And then you can just lift up through the top of your head. And let the wall help you stay aligned, right? Feel length in the back of your throat. Make sure your chin isn't lifting up. But instead, there's this length in the back of your throat. It's like the back of the throat just feels nice and long. Good. One more breath. And we're going to release from here. Kind of shake your legs out a little bit. We're going to come down onto our backs. But here's the point where you're going to need your strap. So as you come down onto your back on the floor, take your time, have your strap handy. And once you get down there, just bend your knees, let your feet be on the floor, and then separate your feet towards the outside edges of your mat. So try to be pretty centered in your mat, of course, which is kind of easier said than done, right? And then let your knees come from one side to the other at your own pace. So just really easily, they can go just a tiny little bit to the left and then the right, or they can go all the way down towards the ground. So your inhales bring the knees up towards the ceiling, and the exhales bring them over to one side. Let it feel good. If you like to hang out on one side, hang out on one side. Good. And then finish off with your knees back up to the top. Now we're going to reach over and get our strap. And we're going to bring the strap onto the ball of our right foot. Now, if you have to, you can kind of throw the strap up there at it, right? You get your strap on your foot however you can. And try to get the strap fairly even if you can. Just makes it a little bit easier. And how you hold the strap, keep the right knee bent for a second. Let the strap go across the base of your big toe mound and the base of your little toe mound. How you hold it is up to you. I mean, you can just hold the strap with one hand. You can hold both. You can even wrap the strap around your hands. If you feel a lot of tension in your hands, you can let the weight of your arms just gently allow the back of the leg to open up. Now, if you can straighten the right leg a little more up there, do. But don't force it and never feel like you're pulling your leg towards you, right? You're pressing your foot into the strap a little bit. You're very active in your leg. And you're welcome to stretch your left leg long on the floor if that feels good too. So you don't need to do that. You can keep the knee bent, but keep pressing gently into that strap with the right ball of your foot. Look at it. Make sure you're not sickling your foot. You're not rolling to the inside or the outside of the foot, right? Either one. But just enjoy. Let yourself breathe. If it's too much, the leg doesn't have to be close to you. The leg can be pretty far away. You're still going to activate and open up the back of your leg. One more breath here. And then let both ends of the strap come into your right hand. Lower your left hand to your left top of your hip. And we're going to open the leg to the right. It might be about 6 inches or 12 inches. Or you might want to go lower and lower, rotating your heel a little up towards the ceiling. You're finding that outward hip rotation. Try not to let that left hip pop up off the floor either. And then bring the foot back up to the top. And bring your left hand to hold both ends of the strap. Stretch your right arm out beside you. And go just a little bit across to the left with that right leg. So you're going a little to the left across the midline. And that is a deep outside of the leg stretch, no matter how you look at it, right? And of course, you can keep going if you like to go deeper into a twist. You can let the leg come over more and more. just try to keep your right shoulder grounded. If it feels good to turn your head to look to the right too, sometimes that helps. It actually sometimes helps the neck release and helps the twist feel better in a way, but not for everybody, right? Good. One more breath here. And now be mindful when you come back up to the top. Bend the right knee again a little bit, and then bring your left foot up to put it in the strap and take your right foot out. And at first, put your right foot on the floor so the right knee is still bent, and bend your left knee up there in the strap, right? Bend your left knee of that foot that's in the strap. Take your time, get across the ball of the foot easily with your strap. And now if you can, come into that straighter left leg too, even if you need to bring the leg farther away from you, right? So again, you don't want to feel like you're pulling your leg towards you. We were talking about hamstring injuries earlier. You know, you do not want to injure where your hamstring attaches up there at your sitting bone. So you've got to be mindful of what you're doing. Press into the strap with your foot. If you like to lengthen your right leg down long on the floor, by all means do. You know, and some people, I forgot to say this on the other side, but like to bend that foot that's in the strap, bend the knee, and come straight a few times. Sometimes that just helps some people release a little more in their back of their leg. But once you get to that place where you want to stay and hold, again, you can hold with one hand or both, but you can let yourself release your shoulders. Feel your breath. And then bring both ends of the strap into your left hand. Right hand comes on the top of your right hip. We're going to open the leg to the left at first. Again, it might be just a few inches. You're finding your inner thigh. You're finding that sense of outward hip rotation without letting that right hip float up off the floor, right? So try to stay grounded. It's like you're standing. If you were standing up doing this pose, you'd be standing on your right leg, right? So you've got to let yourself stay aligned there. And then come on back up to the top with the foot. Switch hands. Right hand gets both ends of the strap. Left arm out beside you. Bring the leg just a little across the midline, and there's the outside. If you want a little more, use your right hand like you're pulling the foot over to the right, but push your foot back into the strap. So you're resisting what you're doing with the strap, and man, oh man, if you want to feel more, there's more. And if you want to release deeper into a twist, by all means do. You can bring the leg farther over. You can turn your head to look left if that feels good. So let yourself enjoy. Nice. And then slowly come back up to the top of that foot. Bend that left knee. Put your right foot up there too in the strap. And now separate your feet. Now how wide you go is up to you. You might go like a foot apart with your feet. You got control. You've got your strap. It keeps your feet there. If you want to go wider and wider and wider and wider, you can go as wide as you want apart with your feet. You know, you can go to the ends of your straps with your hands if you want to. And let yourself just enjoy this wide angle. You know, if you want a little more, just send your tailbone down a little bit, and that will increase the inner thigh stretch. And if you pull on your strap like you're trying to pull it towards you, that makes it even more. So if you want more, you can get more however you want. If you want less, just let the strap support you. Let yourself, again, it's like the pose does the work for you. Good. And then we're going to bring the feet back up. Go ahead, take your strap off. Be careful of the end of the strap. If it's metal, it hurts when it hits you. And bring your knees on into your chest and let them go from side to side. Maybe a happy baby would feel good. And maybe you decide you'd rather do something else. By all means, whatever releases your hips and your back. You know, if you want to bring the soles of the feet towards each other, you know, maybe you'd feel better to you to just stretch your legs back up. Move around a little bit on your back. You know? Just be mindful. you can put your legs and arms up, kind of like a dead bug pose really, or you're just releasing legs up and arms up, and you can relax your shoulders and your hips get really relaxed if you put your feet and your arms up like this and let your hands relax, and it's like the weight of your legs going into your hips and your arms going into your shoulders. But of course, be mindful, do what feels good to you. If you need to do anything else at all, by all means do it, and that might mean anything. If you need to do another little twist here out of those deep strap twists, by all means, knees side to side. Might be anything else too if you feel like doing. So take your time. I'm going to start to walk around to get some lights and eventually start to gather things. So don't get up. If you start to feel like you're uncomfortable and you know you like support, I'm going to come around and bring it. And I don't know if any of you have ever been with your legs up the wall before, but if that sounds good to you, you've got a wall here today, you can turn around. And you can line your legs up with wall, which is, some people just amazingly releasing. Right? And you can do that with your bottom fairly close to the wall. You can also put a blanket underneath you if you need to, like underneath your hips. So you can be fairly close or you can be a little farther away. That all depends on your hamstrings. And looking. And if you did decide to turn the legs up the wall, you did decide to try the legs up the wall and you're like, yeah, no, this does not work. You can come away. Comfortable and you need to roll to your side, by all means do it. Yeah. Just make sure you're comfortable. Take your time. If you need to adjust your arms and your legs, do. And just enjoy receiving your breaths in and out. Nothing you need to do in order to breathe. Just be mindful and keep returning to your breath when your mind wanders off to think, which it always does, right? Just keep coming back to the wave of your breath. The body and the brain become a little quieter. Just know that you trust your body to do what it needs, to get what it needs from all you just did. And just allow yourself to completely and fully relax. first, just feel the firmness of the ground underneath you. Start to allow your breath to come in and go out more fully and deeply. Just accepting your breaths in to start refreshing you a little bit now. Feeling want to wiggle a little bit, your fingers, your toes, your hands, your feet can move around. And let your arms and your legs, when you're ready, do what you need to do. If you need to bring your knees in, do. If you need to stretch everything out long, do. Just be mindful, take your time. Know you're welcome to stay on your back. You're also welcome to roll to either your right or your left side. You can always stay in a soft fetal position on your side for a little bit. If that helps you, use your arm as a pillow too if you can't get comfortable on your side. And just take your time so that when you do rise up to sitting, it feels okay. It feels like the next natural thing to do, to get up again, to be seated comfortably with your top of your head eventually coming up towards the ceiling, so you have that sense of coming all the way upright again with your head up on top. Let your eyes close if they opened on the way up so that you can just easily come back to your breath. You're still very much internally focused. Feel the breath again coming in and going out, imagining it's coming in and out through both sides of your nose equally. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.